When you're about to step into a big conversation, maybe it's a job interview, maybe it's a difficult talk with someone you care about, maybe it's asking for that promotion, or even having to sit across from someone you know is ready to challenge you, nervousness is almost guaranteed. You feel it before the first word leaves your mouth. Your palms get clammy, your chest tightens, your mind starts racing faster than your mouth ever could, and right in that moment, your body is telling you one thing: this matters. This conversation matters enough for your brain and your body to react like you're in danger, even though the only threat in the room is the possibility of being misunderstood or rejected. That nervous energy, that tension that makes you feel like you might not be able to hold it together, it's not actually your enemy. It's not proof that you're weak. It's not a sign that you don't belong in that room. That nervousness is energy, and energy, when directed, can be turned into confidence. The same spark that makes your heart race can also fuel your voice, steady your presence, and make people lean in when you speak. The difference lies in how you choose to respond to it. The truth is, we're wired to think of nervousness as something negative, like something we should get rid of or push away. But that mindset is what usually backfires. Because the more you try not to be nervous, the more you end up focusing on how nervous you are. It's like trying not to think of a pink elephant. The more you fight it, the more it dominates your thoughts. So instead of fighting nervousness, what if you treated it as a signal that you care, a signal that you're alive in the moment, a signal that what you're about to say actually matters enough to stir something inside of you. When you recognize that, you stop seeing nervousness as weakness and start seeing it as fuel. Think about athletes before a big game. Their hearts pound, their bodies get tense, their minds are on fire with anticipation. That's not weakness, that's preparation. That's adrenaline saying, hey, something important is about to happen, and you better be ready. You can take that same frame of mind into conversations. Instead of saying, I shouldn't feel this way, tell yourself, of course I feel this way. This conversation matters. You don't need to eliminate nervousness. You need to transform it, and here's where the transformation begins. Start with your breath. It sounds cliché, but there's science behind it. When you're nervous, your breathing gets shallow. Your chest tightens, your oxygen intake drops, and your brain starts sending danger signals because it feels like you're under attack. But when you take a deep, intentional breath, you send a counter signal to your body. You remind your nervous system that you're safe. One breath doesn't solve everything, but it resets your baseline. It gives you a moment to reclaim control. Before any big conversation, take a few seconds, breathe in deep, hold it for just a beat, and release it slowly. That's not weakness, that's strategy. That's you reminding your body who's in charge. The next step is shifting the story you're telling yourself. Nervousness thrives on negative self-talk. You know that voice. What if I mess up? What if they don't like me? What if I forget what to say? Those thoughts are like gasoline on the fire of anxiety. But you can flip that script. Instead of asking, what if it goes wrong? Ask yourself, what if it goes right? What if I connect with this person? What if I make my point clearly? What if this is the exact moment I've been preparing for? That simple shift in focus doesn't erase nervousness, but it redirects it. It turns it from fear into anticipation, and anticipation feels a lot like confidence. Now, here's another tool, one that people often overlook. Use your body. Nervous energy has to go somewhere, and if you don't give it an outlet, it will come out as shaky hands, a quivering voice, or restless fidgeting. But when you move with intention, when you use gestures that match your words, when you stand tall with your shoulders back, you convert that energy into presence. Confidence isn't just a feeling, it's a posture. When your body says, I belong here, your mind starts to follow, and people pick up on that. They may not even know why they believe you, but they do, because your body and your words are aligned. Another piece of this puzzle is preparation. Nervousness always spikes when you feel unprepared, but confidence doesn't come from knowing every outcome. It comes from knowing yourself. Before a big conversation, rehearse, not to memorize a script, but to remind yourself of the points you want to hit. Picture yourself in that room, hear your own voice speaking calmly. Practice saying the hard thing out loud, so when the moment comes, it doesn't feel foreign. Preparation is your safety net. It tells your brain, I've already been here once. I know what I'm doing. That familiarity takes the edge off of nervousness. And let's not ignore one of the most powerful tools you have, honesty. Sometimes the best way to handle nervousness is to name it, to admit it in the moment. You'd be surprised how much pressure falls off your shoulders when you simply say, I'm a little nervous right now because this matters to me. That kind of honesty doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look human. And humans connect with humans. People don't expect you to be perfect. They expect you to be real, and realness is confidence. There's also a mindset shift that changes everything. Stop making the conversation all about you. Nervousness grows when you put yourself at the center of the stage, when all your thoughts are about how you look, how you sound, how you'll be judged. Confidence grows when you make the conversation about the other person. When you shift the focus to listening, understanding, connecting, suddenly it's not about performing, it's about engaging. And that shift quiets the nerves because your goal is no longer perfection, it's connection. And here's the secret most people never realize. The people you're nervous around, they're just people. They have their own insecurities, their own doubts, their own worries about how they're coming across. That boss you're afraid to talk to, they've had sleepless nights before big conversations too. That person you're trying to impress, they've felt the sting of rejection. Everyone has battled nervousness. So instead of seeing yourself as the only vulnerable one in the room, remember, you're not alone in this. You're not on trial. You're having a conversation. Confidence isn't the absence of nerves. Confidence is choosing to move forward while carrying them. It's deciding that the presence of fear doesn't disqualify you. It actually validates you. Because if you weren't a little nervous, it would mean you didn't care. The fact that you feel nervous means you're invested. And investment is where growth happens. So, before your next big conversation, don't waste your energy trying to get rid of nerves. Use them, breathe deep, stand tall, shift your self-talk, focus on the other person. Be honest if you need to, prepare enough to feel grounded, and when those nerves show up, as they always will, welcome them, because they're proof that what you're about to say matters. They're proof that you're alive in this moment. And they're proof that confidence isn't about never being nervous, it's about never letting nervousness decide for you. You see, every great communicator, every leader, every person you've ever admired for their confidence has felt exactly what you're feeling. The difference is they learned how to channel it. They stopped seeing nervousness as a wall and started using it as a doorway, and you can do the same. Every time you feel that rush before a big conversation, remind yourself, this isn't fear, this is energy. And I get to choose how to use it. So the next time your heart starts racing, the next time your palms sweat, the next time your throat tightens before a conversation you know matters, remember this, you are not powerless. You are not unprepared, you are not out of place, you are ready, because nervousness is not the enemy of confidence. Nervousness is the birthplace of confidence. It's the raw material, the spark, the fuel. And what you do with it is what defines you. So step into that conversation. Feel the nerves, welcome them, and then let them push you forward instead of holding you back. Because the moment you stop running from nervous energy and start riding it, you realize something life-changing. You were never supposed to kill the nerves. You were supposed to use them to come alive. When you look back at all of this, it really comes down to a choice. Nervousness isn't something that disappears when you become good enough. It doesn't vanish the day you hit some magic level of confidence. It's always there, waiting right on the edge of moments that matter, and that's the point. Moments that matter are supposed to make you feel something. They're supposed to stir your heart and make your voice catch for just a second. Because if they didn't, then they wouldn't mean anything. Nervousness is just proof that you're alive and that you're stepping into something that carries weight. The choice you have to make is whether you let that energy work against you or you learn how to let it work for you. Most people spend their lives trying to escape nerves, trying to find the secret trick that makes them never feel uncomfortable again. But the truth is, the people you admire, the ones who walk into a room and seem to own it, they're not free from nerves. They've just stopped running from them. They've accepted that nervous energy is part of the process, and instead of letting it shrink them, they let it expand them. They walk in with the same racing heart and the same shaky hands, but they've decided that those signals don't mean stop, they mean go. They've trained themselves to understand that nervousness is not weakness. It's the body's way of saying, wake up, pay attention, this matters. When you change how you interpret nervousness, you change everything. That shaky voice isn't failure, it's fuel trying to find a direction. That pounding chest isn't a warning, it's power getting ready to be released. The sweat, the restlessness, the tension, all of it is raw energy. You either spend it on worry or you spend it on presence. And presence is where confidence lives. Confidence isn't about standing still with no nerves. Confidence is about standing firm while the nerves run through you and still deciding to speak anyway. Think about how powerful that is. Every time you've been nervous, every single time, your body was actually giving you more energy than you had a moment before. That's the gift hiding under the discomfort. You were being given extra fuel. And all along, you thought it was your enemy. But what if the very thing you've been trying to silence is the exact thing designed to help you rise to the moment? That's what changes the game. That's what separates someone who crumbles from someone who shines. Not the absence of nerves, but the ability to hold them, redirect them, and let them make your voice stronger instead of smaller. You don't need to wait until you're not nervous to start speaking with confidence. You can do it right now, in the middle of the nerves. Confidence isn't a future destination where you finally never feel anxious again. Confidence is a practice, a decision made in the present tense. It's choosing to show up when your chest is tight. It's opening your mouth when your voice wants to close. It's leaning forward in conversation when everything in you wants to retreat. That's what confidence actually looks like, not a lack of nerves, but a willingness to stand inside them and keep going. The beauty of this is that every time you practice it, every time you allow yourself to step into a conversation carrying nervous energy and you turn it into action, you build trust with yourself. You prove to yourself, I can handle this. I don't need the nerves to disappear to be okay. And that self-trust compounds. With each moment, each conversation, each time you show up, you make it easier for your brain to recognize that nerves are not a danger sign. They're a green light, and slowly, your relationship with nervousness shifts. It stops being this wall you dread and becomes a doorway you know how to walk through. And here's the thing. You don't just benefit from this in one conversation. This skill carries over into every area of your life. Once you learn to harness nervous energy, you can walk into interviews, relationships, presentations, conflicts, opportunities, and know that you have what you need. You stop waiting for perfect conditions before you act. You stop holding back until you feel calm, because you realize that calm is overrated. Calm doesn't create change. Calm doesn't push boundaries. Calm doesn't put your heart on the line. Nervousness does. Nervousness is the companion of courage, and when you stop resisting it, you finally let courage come through. So if you take nothing else away, let it be this. Nervousness is not the enemy of confidence. Nervousness is the proof of confidence waiting to be born. That moment when your palms sweat and your mind races, that's not the end, that's the beginning. That's the starting line of every powerful word you'll ever say, every meaningful connection you'll ever build, every big moment you'll ever step into. Confidence doesn't live in the absence of those feelings. It lives in your decision to carry them with you into the room anyway. The people you look up to, the ones who seem untouchable, they feel the same thing you do. Their heart beats fast before they speak. Their stomach twists before they step up. But they've learned that the presence of nervousness doesn't disqualify them. It prepares them. And you can make that same shift. The moment you start interpreting your nerves as energy instead of weakness, you stop being afraid of them. And when you stop being afraid of them, you become free to use them. That freedom, that ability to walk into a room and know that the rush in your chest isn't something to hide from but something to ride on. That is what confidence really is. So the next time you're standing in front of a door about to walk into a conversation that matters, the next time you feel your body flood with that nervous charge, remember this: you're not broken, you're not out of place. You're not unprepared, you're ready, because all of that nervous energy is proof that what you're about to do matters, and if it matters, then it's worth showing up for, even with shaking hands and a trembling voice. Because sometimes the strongest, most confident thing you can do isn't to look like you have it all together. Sometimes it's simply to show up fully, nerves and all, and speak anyway, and when you do, you'll discover something you may have never believed before. You'll realize that confidence was never about eliminating the nerves. It was about proving to yourself that you could hold them and still move forward. It was about trusting that your voice is stronger than your doubt. It was about embracing the reality that the very energy that once threatened to hold you back is the same energy that propels you forward. Nervousness doesn't make you weak. It makes you alive, and being alive in the moment is the very definition of confidence. So breathe, stand tall, feel the rush, and let it remind you that you care. Then open your mouth, say the words, and let your nerves push you into the version of yourself you've been waiting to become. Because that's the truth. You don't overcome nervousness by getting rid of it. You overcome it by walking through it, by using it, by letting it become the fire under your feet instead of the chain around your neck. And the more you practice that, the more you'll see nervous energy isn't something you need to escape. It's the very thing that carries you into confidence.